behavior. And like, I remember everyone was talking about it. She threw the cup. She's done, you know, it's like she keeps doing all that stuff. And then it all feels so, I don't like when and even though I was a publicist, I don't like when it feels like a publicist told you what to say, what to do, how to construct the strategy of how to be relevant. It's just, it feels like you're making the audience dumb. Like we're going to fall for it.
Right. And we don't. Not we're like too smart. We're too far down that. That's the thing. That's why, like, to me, when you like, that's why to me, now I know not everybody agrees, but I do feel Dorit this season. Like, look, do I think that Alex Baskin tapped her on the shoulder and said, like, I'm convinced they said, you cannot come back if you don't talk about your breakup with PK. Like, this is actually what's going on in your life. The world doesn't know it, but we know it. So if you're going to come back and talk about, more PTSD and getting Jagger into like a private school and starting the second Beverly Beach, nobody gives a shit. You either, like, I really do think there's a double standard of like Kyle Richards, and I talked about this on this podcast before. Like, Kyle Richards, you don't want to talk about Morgan Wade. Okay, great
Mhm.
contract. And
Yeah.
Dorit, listen, you're either not coming back or you're going to talk about PK. So I do think that they said that to her and they said, look, we have your back. I mean, she's even said this in an interview, like, we have your back, just do it. But having said that, I do feel Dorit is really putting it all out there authentically this season. That's what I feel. So to me, it's like, this is what you should do as a housewife. This is the job. Good
Mhm.
for you.
This is the job. If you don't want this job, you could do traders. If you don't,
Yeah.
there's jobs where it doesn't really, you don't have to be so authentic. You could do House of Villains, you could do Traders, you could do like other shows, right? Like there's other shows that you can be a part of without having to kind of divulge everything about your life. And again, I'm not going to say that every reality star has to tell us everything about their lives, but you told us about Morgan. So the cat's already out of the bag. So it's hard to put it back in because it's like you already said it. So I know Gibson Johns had said that too. Like a lot of people agree with that opinion. Like even when again, I'm queer, I'm not going to tell someone when they can come out and how to come out, but you already told us essentially you felt something for this woman. And I was rewatching the after shows from last season and she was a lot more open about it. So it's hard because it's like you're being open and now you're closed off. And I get it. Morgan was probably like, I don't want to deal with it. And but still, like it's kind of hard for us as the viewer. And I think with Dorit, like you said, I think they knew they were breaking up because when I was listening to the after show, she was talking about it, and it was as if they were on the verge of separating. So I think they producers knew, and they were like, "Sorry, babe, like you got to tell us, you got to tell us." And PK, like a lot of times the men are like, I'm not talking about it. But, he's very vocal too. I got to give him credit. He went on Alex Baskin's podcast. He was very open. This is not the norm usually.
I agree. I think they're both just and talking about what comes. So I don't know, Dorit. Look, I don't think next season is going to be the season of Dorit again, but I think I love how it's just spilling over into like, I mean, she don't got no muzzle. Like whatever she feels like I just feel like Dorit is like, well, like even when she turned to Garcella in that scene and Garcella was like, whatever, and she was like a delayed reaction, she was like, pardon? Do you have something to say? Like Dorit just doesn't give a fuck anymore. And to me, it's like one of the best villains in Housewives history. Like, go for it, girl. Like, she don't care, and I love it.
It's good. The way she like just took Camille and just put her to the side. And I just, for days, I was hearing, you're a stupid, C-U-N-T, you're stupid, and I just kept hearing that voice and the way she said it. It's just so funny. It's so good.
It's
So good.
so funny, right? So I feel like, it's to me, it's a good season at Beverly Hills. Also, some people don't love Dorit still. They think it's too much and it's put on and they're not loving her. But I am loving it. I'm loving everything about Dorit. I love PK. I'm a huge fan of both of them. Really.
It's so good. And when, watching, like, again, I love Potomac, but watching like Roni and having Beverly Hills come on, you're like, this is how you do it. The editing, the music, the everything, just everything is like lining up correctly.
I mean, I don't know what Roni, I call it season three, but I guess it's season 16 we're going to be going into. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I mean, I don't know if it's because, like, look, I say this, like, look, being from New York,
Mhm.
there are people from New York and LA, and I'm not putting down every place else in the country, but there is something like savvy about New Yorkers compared to
Yes.
people that grow up in a small town. And so I think that's the problem. Like, Meredith and Lisa, and I don't know if it's because it's Salt Lake and all these, it's a smaller town. Like they're very savvy and they're cosmopolitan, and she doesn't even live in Salt Lake. We all know this now. She lives everywhere else except there. But it's like they are just characters, but it's all natural. I think the New Yorkers are savvy. They know about social media and marketing, and it's New York. It is New York fucking city. Sai has a real booming business on as like she's like a page to Sorbo. So like they had these businesses. I just think like they're too in their heads. And I know that's stating the obvious. I think it's partly because it's New York. Like, now, granted, yes, you were able to find Ramona and Sonia and Luann and people that really, I mean, Sonia Morgan cannot be inauthentic if she tried. But you know what I mean? Like, where are those people? Like, so I don't know. I mean, what, we're going to let two people go for Roni and that's going to fix the problem? I really wish it would just go away. I'm sorry.
Gotta go away. You know what it is? I think the trick is you need an older audience. They keep trying to, even, I'm sure you've heard of Real Housewives of Rhode Island. They're all young again. The
Is
younger,
that really happening though, for real?
apparently, I saw on TikTok, there was this
I've
woman that
heard.
I saw them filming, and then I know someone in Cranston that then texted me and said he saw them filming. So I don't know. I'm like, Toronto, I do know is happening. That I've been to Toronto. They're very, like, it's very New York. So I understand that.
Will Toronto be on Bravo though, or like a real?
That's a good question. I don't know. Is it going to be one of those you have to like find it on YouTube? Like I can't watch that.
Right, because I've had some of the foreign housewives on from like
Sydney.
whatever. Right, there's lovely. Like I'm friends with some of them, but it doesn't translate. Like those, I mean, most of this audience is like, who the hell is this, David? Now, not everyone, because we have multinational people listening to this from Australia, but in general, a lot of people were like, who is this? I'm like, she's like a major housewife of Jersey. You remember that? There was a Jersey, not New Jersey. There was a Real Housewives of Jersey, which is an island off of the UK. Like Tessa Hartman, I love. Huge shout out. She was on the show twice. But the point is, those weren't right. Like, so when they're doing all these new things, are they actually going to be on Bravo? But I did hear about Rhode Island as well. And I
Well,
think it's real, you know, look at it's like, look, we all rolled our eyes when we heard about Salt Lake, right? Like I think that's what we've learned. New York, great city, cool city, amazing, but not if you have the wrong people. So I hope that there's a reason why they're going with Rhode Island and they really have the Merediths and the Jen Shaws and the Lisa Barlows of Rhode Island, and there's a reason why we just have a great cast, because otherwise, why are we doing this?
when there's so many other cities, Chicago, San Francisco, Seattle, I'm like, there's so many, I feel like untapped markets, like that there's like wacky people. Like I would love to see Real Housewives of Alaska. I'm like, I'm sure there's rich people there. Like, imagine what that would be like.
That would be amazing.
It's interesting. So I
That
don't know.
would be interesting. Like I know Nashville, they've tried many times. It just doesn't happen. I feel like don't bother. Like to me, it's like the same as Dallas. It's like I know it's not the same as Dallas, but it's like that Southern. I don't know. I just can't see it. Like Rhode Island, the one thing about Rhode Island is someone said, I don't know if this is true. Like, there are strong accents in Rhode Island. Like it does have a Jersey
Okay.
feel to it. It does. Now there's a lot of people in Rhode Island. I'm making a lot of stereotypes, but like I don't know, maybe that will like I'm not so sure that we really have a plan for Jersey. Like I am just not sure.
I don't know
Like
about
I'm not sure that it's going to be 2026, January 2nd, and we're going to have 2026, and we're going to have some announcement. I'm not sure they really have a direct, definitive plan for Jersey. I think they have thoughts.
Mhm.
I mean, I've heard a lot of different things, but I'm not sure that it's like, okay, there's a timeline. I think it's like, let's see how it's like, that's the thing. Don't rush it. Whatever it is, just take your time, right?
I agree. I agree. Don't force it. And that's the thing with Dubai that caught me off guard because I felt like it was working.
You
What do
do.
you don't think it was working?
I didn't really like it. I have been to Dubai. It wasn't like my favorite city. I don't know. Like, I guess it could have worked. I think, to be honest with you, I think having gone to Dubai and Abu Dhabi actually made me less interested. Like, I think because I've been there, now mind you, it's not like I've been there 12 times. I've been there once in my life, but I don't know. It wasn't like as foreign to me. And so I was like, there are things that are not really Dubai-ish for real people that live there. But I see what you're saying. Like that could be interesting because it was different. I just, I guess it was just the wrong cast. I didn't really, the cast didn't do it for me.
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
like Stanberry just because I'm a huge Ladies of London fan.
Me too. That show is so good.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, but I wasn't really into any of the other cast. And in their defense,